Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Nick Kroll Show. Thanks for being here. Today, real different episode going on here. I'm actually the one that's going to be interviewed. On the screen here with me is Giselle. She's been a huge help. She's actually been the one that's kind of taken over the Instagram for me. She's been doing all the posting, all the story stuff, and it's been so awesome to have you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. It's fun for me.
It's uh
Um,
it's a lot of fun for me too to see that, and like I still do the DMs and the comments, so I'm still on the page, but she's doing most of the posting, so it's been a huge help, and she's helped me a lot, like get a lot of this together and kind of motivate me to keep doing more and more. So we're trying to grow this, and today she thought it might be a cool idea to do an interview of me. So I'm actually going to turn this over to her. She's going to ask all the questions, and I'm going to answer the questions. So take it away.
yeah, so Nick has not seen any of the questions and basically just told me anything's on the table, nothing's really off limits. So I'm gonna start this off, get the ball rolling a little bit with some spitfire questions. So I'm gonna ask you the question, you're gonna answer, no pressure, but answer as fast as you can.
Okay.
Okay. All right. What is an age that you can't wait to get to?
Wow. I don't really think there isn't really an age that I'm kind of looking forward to. I think 30, I guess, if I had to guess, but that's because we have a goal for when I turn 30 of owning our house. But other than that, I don't really like I think yeah, I would go with 30 because that's when I have like
Okay.
we have a lot of goals for that year.
Mm-hmm. All right. If you could have been born in any other generation, which would it be?
Wow, this is actually something I thought about a few times, and I'm thankful that I was born when I was born because I feel
Mm-hmm.
like we had the generation where we had the like not the cell phone and the computers and the tablets, like we still had like toys and had to use our imagination, but then as we
Mm-hmm.
got older we have all these things at our dispense and we're able to
Yeah.
utilize these things to do whatever the hell we want now. And I like it's
Yeah.
sad to see the generation now just gets handed a tablet, and then the generation before us never had the chance to do what we can do. So I feel like our
Yeah.
generation is probably the best, like pretty spot on.
That's a good answer because we were still like go outside, play with the dirt type
Yeah,
of generation, but
yeah,
at the same time, like everyone had a phone in middle school type of thing. So
yep.
I, that's good. If you were given $1 million to spend on one thing, what would it be?
One thing, wow, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Probably open a gym with it. I'd probably like buy a building, own everything outright, and just start my gym that way.
That's what I thought you were gonna say. Okay, if you had to choose between the podcast and RN Fitness, which would
Podcast.
you choose? Oh, that was an easy answer.
Yep, not even
Okay,
close. So
all
I'll give you
right.
the reason for that because there is a reason, and it's because with RN I have to do like sales, and I hate sales. I hate being salesy. I don't like DMing people like, "Hey, can you check out my website? You know, maybe I'll give you a discount if you want." Like, I don't like that stuff. Like this, I can just be who I am. I can talk to who I want to talk to. I can have people on the show. I feel like I can actually like inspire somebody. And like I think RN does that stuff too. People I have a lot of people that really look forward to the content that we put out there, but it's just not the same because there's something to be sold with that. There's nothing to be sold with this. This is just me doing this because I really enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, with that, what makes you feel inspired?
That's tough. And honestly, I tried to predict what questions you would ask, and this was one of
No
them
way.
that I thought you would ask, like what inspires me. And there's like people that I look up to, you know, but they're not like people
Mm-hmm.
I know in my everyday life. It's like, you know, Dave Ramsey, Ken Coleman, John Deloney, Mark Wahlberg. I really like Mark Wahlberg's story. Um, People like that. And then there's like YouTube videos. I'm pretty big into there's a speech on YouTube from Denzel Washington, and it's like 10 minutes, and it's the best speech. It's the best video. It's the best anything that I've ever seen or heard in my life. And like, if I ever need inspiration, I just watch that for 10 minutes and I'm ready.
Wow. All right. What makes you the happiest?
That's tough because there's a lot. There's a lot.
That's
And
good.
I I'm pretty easy. Like I'm pretty easy to please. Like there's not much that I'm too upset about. Like I don't know. I guess there's a good feeling about coming home when my wife's home, my dogs are home. You open the door and they're both jumping all over you. My wife's on the couch. You go over there, sit with her, give her a kiss, and then the dogs jump up on us. That's fun. Like I enjoy that. That's cute.
That's nice. Okay. What gets you fired up?
Again, a lot. I think accomplishing something though, like really gets me fired up. Like, I mean, and when I say accomplishing something, I mean it could be anything. Like I've been doing a lot of work on my house lately. Like this morning, I was building a wall downstairs to separate the gym and the game room, and like finishing that and seeing I finished one side already. I'm doing the second side now and finishing that side and like seeing that like that gets me fired up. Like that I'm excited like I accomplished something. And it's with, RN or the podcast too. Like when I accomplish anything that has to do with that, like when I get new clothes in and put something else out, like I feel good when I accomplish something.
Good. Um, do you remember when your last alcoholic beverage was and what it was?
Yes. So we were over Christmas this year, actually, we were on vacation, and I had told all my wife's friends that I hadn't drank in like 2.5 years. The last time I drank was when we brought Mozzie home. Like actually drank. I had, I mean, this much of like a cup of think she wanted me to drink tequila because they just couldn't. They were like, "There's no way you don't drink. Like, you have to drink something. Like, please, just for us, please." And I was like, "All right, fine. Like, I'll do it." Like, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even a shot, so I don't really count
Mm-hmm.
that. But before that, it was when we brought Mozzie home, and I just remember having a bunch of people, and he's a year and a half now, so I guess not 2.5 years, like a year and a half ago. Um,
Mozzie's your dog.
yeah, my golden.
Okay.
And we had people over and I had like 2 or 3 beers and I was just like, why? Like, why? Why am I even doing this? Like, this is so stupid. And I just stopped ever since then.
Alright. Um, if you could have a billboard, what would it say?
Wow. Oh, I feel like I have a lot that I would want to put on that. But if it's a billboard, it has to kind of be a one liner. And I'm trying to pick
Mm-hmm.
the one line right now. I'd probably like I think Nike honestly has the best slogan of all time of just do it. Like I wouldn't take that, but I mean that's the best there is. Like that's why RN is right now. I mean it would be something along the lines of whatever you're thinking of, stop thinking about it and just do it. Or start right now if you want to take the rip off
Yeah.
version of Nike.
Okay. What is the best compliment you've ever received?
Best compliment? Ugh. I don't know. I don't really like try to hold myself or make like my identity what people think or say about me, whether it's good or bad. Um, the I don't know. I don't even have like I don't even have something for
Okay,
that. I
that's
don't know.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay. What is an insult that you'll never forget?
So it wasn't an insult to me. It was an insult I said to somebody, and it was one of my friends, and we were fishing, and the last thing before he left, uh, I forget what I said, and then I said "fuck you," and then he passed away like a week later or 2 weeks later, and that was the last thing I ever said to him. So that was probably the worst thing
Wow.
that. So I don't say that anymore. The F you, like to somebody, but I still say
Mhm.
fuck all the time.
Wow. All right. What is your zodiac sign? Do you
I have
know?
no idea. No idea.
Okay. Um, when's your birthday? In case any listeners want to like look it up.
April. What is
What
it? Do you
day?
know?
I don't know. Sagittarius. What day?
16th.
Might be a Sagittarius. I don't know.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I know some people are like really into it, so I thought it would be fun to just throw it in there. All right. If you had a book dedicated to your life so far, what would be the title?
That's a really good question. Just getting started.
Hmm, that's good. All right. So that's all for the Spitfire questions. This next segment, we are going to get deep. Okay.
Oh boy.
So I have a lot of questions for this one. You don't have to get through them all, but we'll see. All right. So get the Spitfire mentality out. Like we can just have like a conversation, or you want to skip it, we can skip it. Okay. So first question, let's get deep. How did you know you and your wife needed marriage counseling?
Um,
In case like somebody's interested, like what, like how did you know?
just say it had to do with happiness. Like there was just a time where there was so much going on, and we knew it wasn't like all us. Like there was a lot of outside factors that played into this. Like it wasn't just we sucked, like there was some of that. Like we were really young, but there was so many outside factors and so much going on at once. It was kind of a sign of like, hey, we should get help with this because we don't know what the hell we're doing. We're just yelling at each other about it. Like we need to fix this. And it was probably one of the best things I've ever done. I'd say it's in probably the best thing I've ever done.
Really? Did you have like right away good luck finding the right counselor or the right type of
Believe it or not,
help?
yes. So sort of. So we talked to this one guy who was trying to like refer us to other people, and we looked around for other people, and then we are like, all right, that first guy was the guy. Like we're gonna go talk to him. So we did, and it was awesome. It was great.
Good. Love to hear it. All right, next question. If you couldn't personal train, run RN Fitness, run this podcast, or do anything else surrounding fitness, what would your next venture look like, or what would you do with your time?
What would it be? My life is so dedicated to like fitness. That's so
I
hard.
know. I have like a prediction of what you're gonna say in my head, but
I think public speaking. I would like to like
um,
travel and speak to people, like motivational
about
speaking.
fitness.
Like not really. I don't want to say like motivational speaker because it's just so cliche. But like just speak to people and be like why are you sitting here? Go do something. Like I
Yeah,
guess it would technically be motivational speaking, but I just don't want to put that tag on it.
I think it's a good tag.
All right.
And I think that would be really great because people need to hear it. Like until some people need permission in order to make change in their lives.
I know.
Like
I
for
see it all
example,
the time.
if someone's like has an eating disorder, for example, they need to hear some sort of permission to stop. You know,
Yeah.
for
I hear it all
example.
the time. So like those people that when you asked in the beginning who inspires you, and I said like Dave Ramsey, John Deloney, Ken Coleman, those are all people that have podcasts that have call-in shows, and people will call and they'll be like, you know the answer, right? And they're like, yes. Like, okay, so what is it? And they'll say it and they're like, yes, you're right. And they're like, okay, thank you. I just needed someone to tell me that. And
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like people just need to hear it from somebody else. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's really a problem, but I think there's other ways that like you should be motivated to do something if you want to do something.
yeah. I think there's just so many factors in life that like bring it down or shut you down, whether it's people, whether it's ruminating or comparing yourself to people on social media. And then you're just like, I can't do that. I
Hmm.
can't stand up to whoever or match this person in this field. And it's hard. It's tough.
That's
Right.
something
Well,
that like that's part of like where maybe we'll get to it later. I'll let you continue before I.
God.
go? Okay. So like that's something that I think about all the time with like motivation. Like you look at who would you say is the most successful person in your eyes? Like who is the most successful person
Like in general,
in the world? Yeah. To you.
Kim Kardashian.
Okay. So she has two legs, two arms, and is a human being that walks around just like you and me. And people like idolize these celebrities, and like, don't get me wrong, I think they're cool too. You know, like I look up to a lot of people. Like I said, Mark Wahlberg earlier. Like I look up to these people too. But to sit there and look at them like they're walking on water is just wrong. Like you can do what they do, and that's something like I've always told myself. Like if this guy can do it, I can do it. I don't care what it is. I don't care how it's done. You know, people will call someone to come fix their like wires in their house or their plumbing or like a wall. And it's like, dude, you're calling somebody to do this. Like, why can't you do this? You know, and if it's a time thing, if it's I don't want to put the time in and like do it, that's fine. But if you just, oh, I can't, like you can, you know, you can do literally anything. Like if somebody has done it, you can do it. And even if somebody hasn't done it, there's still a chance that you can do it.
Yeah, love that. That's great. All right, moving on. What is something that has been taking up a lot of mental real estate for you lately?
This goddamn podcast website. I'm gonna lose my shit with this thing. I'm gonna figure it out,
Mm,
but I'm gonna lose my shit with it. I had everything all set up nicely, and then I moved the host over, so now it's on a different host. And I mean, I can't get the website to load. I don't know
you've been
what to.
working on this for like a few days.
Yes, it's been a very big struggle. It's the DNS codes and the C names and all this BS that I have no idea what it is. It'll be up eventually. So if you've been trying to get on the nickcrollshow.com, sorry, you're not going to get on there anytime too soon, but we're going to try and get that figured out. But that's been taking up a lot of my mental energy lately.
Yeah. All right. What is something that people seem to misunderstand about you?
Um, I don't want to say that they're misunderstanding this because they're kind of right, but there's, but they're kind of wrong also. When a lot of people just think that I'm kind of an asshole, and like I can live with that, you know what I mean? But I'm an asshole because I want to see people do better. And my wife has to like stop me all the time because like we'll go somewhere and someone in my family will say something and I'm like, what are you talking? Like it's excuses. And I hate that. And it's so like people get so caught up in why they can't. They don't have the time. They don't have the time. And I just tell them that's bullshit. And my wife's like, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like I agree with you. I know, but you got to say it a little nicer. And I'm like, I don't want to say it a little nicer because they need to understand that they can do this and that it is bullshit. And so, uh, people think I'm kind of an asshole sometimes, but when I actually sit down calmly and they're not making excuses and I can calmly talk to somebody, it's just because I care and I want to see them do better. That's for everybody. Like, I just want to see, like, I want to see people chase their dreams. I want to see people do what they're passionate about. And it's so frustrating when people don't. And they're like, oh, I can't do it. Yeah, you can. Like just go do something, you know, start whatever you think the first step is, do that. And then your mind is focused on it. So then maybe you were completely wrong and that first step wasn't even close. But if you're starting that, then your mind is going and then something else is going to pop up. And you're like, okay, yeah, let me do this part. Okay, let me do this part. And then everything kind of pieces together one by one. And it's a jumbled mess. Like that's why I didn't like. I would never. Like, I was gonna write like a business plan because that's how RN started. I was trying to start a business for like a prepare myself for when I wanted to own a gym, and I was like, all right, I'll like print out a business plan. So like when I'm going to like apply for a loan or whatever I do to get a business, like I'll have a business plan. And I was looking at this thing and I was like, fuck this thing. Like, this doesn't even make any sense. Like, get this shit out of here. Like, I got to figure out this and that. And like, there was so many other things to do. I didn't even go with like the quote standard business plan to even open like a normal gym. And like, now I have such a way better idea of what I would do just because I've sort of been doing it with like my home gym, but also like the business side of it with the clothing. Like it's just one of like, I don't know. That's what I got for that.
So, do you ever think there's an actual valid excuse?
Very, 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 very rarely, but yes. Sometimes there's like a disability, right? Like if you're paralyzed, okay, yeah, you're not going to run 26.2 miles this year, or whatever a marathon is. So there's absolutely like quote valid excuses sometimes, but not having time is just, I mean, the one I hear the most,
The
and it's
biggest
just,
one, yeah.
it's not an excuse. Doesn't count. Don't even think that it counts.
I mean, what about, let's say someone gives you the time excuse, but they're in a caretaker role. Do you think it's valid then?
Caretaker, as in what? Like they babysit or they're taking care of a relative? Like what?
Like, let's say they have someone that has a disability and they're that person's caretaker. For example, like their kid or their mom or their spouse, or like let's say they are the caretaker. I'm just throwing this out there
Yeah, no.
to
So
play like devil's advocate, but like, would you consider that
I
like
would,
if they're like they are the like I don't have the time. I am not like a priority. Yes, I have these goals, but I don't have the time.
I think I would break it down more. Like, okay, how many hours a day do you need to help them? Like, is there a time that they're sleeping? Is there a time that they're taking a nap? Do you need to sit there by their side and hold their hand 24/7? Or do they sit down and watch TV for 30, 40 minutes that you can kind of go do something? When they're sleeping, do they sleep for more than 8 hours that you can capitalize on a few of those hours? It's really case by case. I mean, I think that there would still be a way. I mean, it would be harder, right? Like um, the no excuses thing doesn't mean that it's easy. It just means that there shouldn't be an excuse.
Yeah. Got it. All right. Next question. We're flying through these actually. Okay, what is the most important thing that you've learned in your life?
I would say being open-minded. I think that's um, just so important, and that's a big part of. I mean, the show now is just keeping an open mind and understanding that everybody does have some value in their life. Everybody can provide value, and there's a purpose for everybody. And when you grow up a certain way and you only see a certain thing, and then you leave that and you see all these other things kind of around the world, like, but you have this one mindset of like, no, this isn't right. And then you start seeing like, oh, this is right here, this is right here, this is right here. You start to like realize these things. And then when you marry a girl who yells at you all the time because you're closed-minded and an asshole, you start to realize, you're right. And I think being open-minded is a gift that not a lot of people have anymore, especially because we have this major problem with social media where if you don't like what somebody else says, it's okay, then unfollow me. Like, how about we have a little discussion about it? How about you tell me where you're coming from? I'll tell you where I'm coming from. Maybe you can teach me something. Maybe I can teach you something. But instead, it's, oh, you don't like what I said? Then don't see my post. Don't follow me. Unfriend me. Whatever you want to do. And it's such a fucking wrong mentality.
So, what if like you're just talking to a brick wall at that point? Because you can be open-minded, but like like you said, there are so many people that are closed-minded, and like, what do you do
No,
at
I mean
that
that
point?
happens. I mean, there's a point in time where you say, okay, this is a lost cause. Like I don't sit there and lose sleep about it. I just, all right, this guy's this guy's cooked, and I just move on. But to start off any post with, um, this is my opinion, and if you don't agree, don't follow me, or just we aren't friends. Like what? What are you talking?
Yeah.
I can't get behind that.
Do you have any advice for someone that has trouble seeing the other side of things?
So something that helped me see the other side of things was, hey, there's a lot of people that think this way. Why? Are all these people morons? Probably not. Probably not. Know some pretty smart people that have this opinion. Know some pretty smart people that have this opinion. So, why? Do you think that just because their opinion is different than yours, that they're now a complete moron and that everything that you ever knew about them doesn't apply anymore? Like, they're still a smart guy. So why do they think that way?
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. What is your diet like?
Ooh. Lately, I've been cutting out more carbs. Um,
Oh,
I bought my wife like a scale. It's like I don't know what brand it is. It's some like kind of cheesy
a
little
food scale?
no, 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 like a body weight scale, and it tells you your body
Hmm.
fat percentage. It told me a number,
Oh.
but that was more than I thought it was, and I was like, I don't know if I agree with that. This thing's kind of cheesy, but I'm gonna go with it. Worst case scenario, I help myself anyways. So I've been trying to lose a little more body fat and cut back carbs a little bit more. But I mean, I don't really like track food. I'm not like one of those crazy people with a scale. Like, I don't want to call them crazy because some of them are jacked and they know what they're doing. Like that's their life is for that. So that's cool. But I'm not one of those people. I'm not gonna sit here and weigh out my food. I don't know. I don't care enough. Like I eat roughly, like, I know roughly what I have every day. It's like in between 200 and 300 grams of protein. It's in between 250. Well, right now, probably like 150 and 200 grams of carbs. Before it was like 300 to 500. And fats are, around the 40 to 70 grams range.
Wow.
But I
That's
don't like
fast.
count it every day. I don't even have an app that I like go through and like mark labels. Like once, like I just do the math kind of in my head. Like, all right, hey, I had a yogurt, I had a power bar, I had a wheat bagel, I had 4 eggs, I had ham with that eggs, I had a cheeseburger or whatever, taco meat, turkey, like all that stuff I eat like every freaking day. So it's I know what it is now. Like I don't switch my food up a lot, and that's something that
Yeah.
that you I guess should do, but I just stick to what I have, and it's not
Yeah. If it's not broken, why fix it?
bingo. And like sometimes with
Um,
that, like I say that a lot too, but sometimes even with that is like, can you improve it? And I mean, yeah, you can
mm,
always improve it, but it's it's not broken. So I'm just gonna keep running it.
um, I was gonna. So, how in tune would you say you are, like, with your body? Because when you said like you're eating less carbs, and I mean you're just playing around to see what you can do with your body fat, right?
Yeah.
Um, but and I don't know if it's the same for men, but with women, like cutting your carbs, like blood sugar, hormones, like is something that like that's like a red flag for me because cutting that, um, I don't want to say it would screw it up, but it's gonna affect hormones and it's gonna affect like blood sugar. Like, do you pay attention to that stuff? Would you say?
Yeah, well, there's like less energy. Definitely have less energy when you have less carbs, and yeah, at least I do. One of my buddies that's doing it with me also has said he's noticed that too. And I mean, for that, I just kind of space it out to where like I'm still eating a pretty good amount of carbs. Like 150 to 250 is still a pretty good amount. So it's not like I'm like crash and burn, but I notice the energy levels. And so what I'll do is I'll just like I realized that after like 2 days, I was like, wow, this fucking sucks. Cause I would eat like all of it in the morning and be like, ah, shit, I shouldn't have any more carbs today. So now I'll
Wow.
just
Yeah.
I'll like space it out more so I know what's coming. And your body adapts, like everybody's body adapts differently, but your body will adapt. It just takes a week or two. I would say probably like 2 weeks before you really get in tune with a new diet or something new. That's why I tell people when you want to start like any sort of diet or fitness thing, like one day for 1 week. 2 days on the next week, 3 days on the next week, because that's like sustainable and you're not going to go all in on the first week and burn out because you're going to feel completely different. You're going to feel exhausted, but really you're doing the best thing you should for your body. If you would stick with it like that for 2 more weeks, you'd realize, okay, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling even better. But when you slowly do it, you don't notice that, like, I guess, lag right away.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's good that you're paying attention to like your energy and what your body's feeling like. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, I'm a very
So
high
I
energy
think it's really
person.
important.
That's a
Yeah.
big part of who I am. And if I don't have high energy, then I'm not myself. So I have to find a way to make sure I have high energy because I refuse to drink caffeine.
Mm, I almost made a coffee just for the podcast. All right, next question. Okay, so you're a big advocate for a healthy, fit lifestyle, which we can both agree is on most people's list of goals. Why do you think that people fail?
It's hard, quote hard. I mean, that's what you hear, that it's hard. It takes time. You have to be consistent. People want to see results right away. I was actually listening to the Ken Coleman show today, and he said, if I took a microphone, I walked around Nashville right now and said, hey, what is your dream? Are you willing to do anything it takes to meet that dream? Most people would say yes. And I believe that's true. Then he'd say, okay, are you willing to wait as long as it takes to reach that goal or dream? And that's where people are like, ooh, I don't know about that. And I would say he's right on that, because it takes time, and you see it in the gym. Like, people are willing to go to the gym. They just aren't willing to stick with it for more than a week. And that's why they quote
Mm,
fail in that instance. Same thing with the diet. They'll do it for a week. Everybody in the world has tried a diet at least once. I mean, I have yet to meet anybody that hasn't at least tried a diet one time, but they just don't
mm,
stick with it because it takes time. And if you don't see we want results right away. And if we don't see them right away, fuck this, what's the point? Why am I even bothering? It felt so much better the way I was doing it before. So I think that's probably the biggest reason why people fail, is they don't give it enough time. Because once people start seeing the results, I mean, it's game on from there. Like, I've seen people, they'll see it like a few results and like, wow, I am never stopping, and it's like, that's the energy I want to see right there.
yeah. I had a friend that he reached out to like a coach and got a nutrition plan, just not for a competition or anything, but just to like get in better shape. And he was given a cheat meal after the first like 8 weeks or something every week.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw such good results in those first 8 weeks that he was like,
Didn't even
I'm
bother.
not taking that cheat meal.
Mm-hmm.
He just like was like balls to the wall after that.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, I would be dying for that cheat meal.
You wouldn't, though. After 8 weeks, like, your taste buds, honestly, they change. Like, I haven't eaten a piece of pizza in probably 3 or 4 years. And it's not that, like, I don't like pizza. Like, I liked pizza when I stopped eating
Yeah.
pizza, but I don't even have the taste for it. Like, I see it now and I'm like, oh my, like, look at how, like, just greasy and nasty that looks. Like, the taste isn't even there anymore. Like, you don't crave it. It's like, they say chocolate is like pretty addicting. And if you like don't eat it for a certain amount of time, like, you just lose the craving for it. Like, you lose the I want that, and like the taste, like the craving for the taste. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's very interesting. I have dark chocolate every single night.
I heard
I
like a
love it.
little bit of dark chocolate is good for you. I don't know how true that is. My wife
Mm.
says that.
They say the same thing about wine or beer or something.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
really
know.
believe the alcohol ones, but the
Yeah.
dark chocolate I could understand a little bit more.
All right. Moving on. You're a person who wears many hats, owner of RN Fitness, podcast host, husband, personal trainer, advocate for financial freedom and debt free living, etc. Would you consider yourself an expert in any of those areas?
Absolutely not.
I
No
didn't
way.
expect that.
Not an expert in anything.
Really?
I actually just had this conversation with somebody yesterday. I said, I
No way.
do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think there's anything in this world I really couldn't do, but I don't master anything. Like, I mean, I have this podcast, but you see me struggling with this damn website. You know what I mean? I have RN, but it's pretty small still. I've had it for a year and a half or whatever. Um, Husband, there's always room to improve in your relationship. I'd say now we have a really, really good relationship, but there's ways to improve in there. And, debt free advocate. Do I think I know a lot about it? Yeah, but definitely not an expert in it. There's, I don't, it's hard to find an expert in anything really. Like, I don't know anybody who, besides maybe like, if you're talking about debt, at least Dave Ramsey would probably be the expert. But even that, there's some things that he says that like a lot of people don't necessarily agree with. And, when a lot of people think one way, why do a lot of people think that way? Why do so many people think he's so wrong on a few of the points that he makes? Maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe it's just some wacko started a rumor and now everybody believes it, and like they can't understand why Dave originally said that. I don't know, but there's to master something. Man, I can't think of anybody that's mastered something. I would say even the most successful people would tell you there's always room to improve.
So you wouldn't call them like an expert?
Yeah, I mean, I guess expert, like I guess Dave would be like a debt expert, or I don't really know any like fitness, like famous fitness trainers or personal trainers, but I'd say yeah, like I guess you could be an expert in your field, but I'm certainly not. I'm not an expert in
Would you
anything.
want to be an expert in like something?
In one thing, honestly, no. I'd rather. So there's like uh, at least I don't know if you've ever heard it, but jack of all trades, master of none. You're like, it's me.
My
I like
boss
that.
is Dave.
Yeah,
You met
exactly.
him.
Dave. Yeah, I'm sure he says that too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he actually said that on the show when I had him on. Yeah,
I think so
yeah.
too.
So
Yeah,
I mean, I'm fine like that. I like knowing that I can do a lot. And I think when you want to be an expert in something, you have to kind of limit yourself and really, really focus all your time and all your energy on that. And you can lose out on a lot of other things as well, because at some point, it's like, at least in my opinion, it's like weight loss. You're going to lose a lot of weight really fast. I mean, you're going to gain a lot of knowledge in your field really fast. But once you start getting to the end, those last 5 pounds are the hardest and they take so much time to take off. The last bit of knowledge that you need to consume to really be an expert is going to be so much harder to learn. And it's going to take so much more time and dedication that I'd rather use that time to allocate it for something else, to learn something new. So I could learn 80, 90, whatever percent of something new instead of trying to learn that last 5, 10% of that other thing to master it or be an expert. I mean, it's personal
yeah.
preference too. Like everybody has a different opinion on that.
Thinking about it now, it doesn't really like who does it benefit to have tunnel vision in like one field,
Yeah.
for example, you know? So, yeah. All right. So, those are all of my let's get deep questions. We just flew through those. Next, we have a short yes or no. So, just answer yes or no.
Oh,
Ready?
I hate that. I hate not
There's
being
like
able to
five of
explain it.
them.
All right, go ahead.
If you want to explain, we can go into it. Okay. Do you meditate?
No.
Why?
I thought I wasn't allowed to explain. I can?
I know, but now I'm curious. It sounded like you're kind of against it.
Oh, no, I wasn't against it. It was pretty simple. Yes or no, I don't
Okay.
meditate. I just don't make the time for it. I don't have like I don't know. I don't have anything against it.
Okay. Got it. Do you read books?
Yes.
Do you believe in dieting?
Yes. I feel like, is there something else to that? Or is that just the question? Do you believe in
No.
dieting? Yes.
No, because some people don't.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yes, I do.
Okay. Are you happy?
Yes.
Do you stretch?
Sometimes.
Okay. That's all of them.
Oh, okay. That's pretty
It
easy.
was short. Yeah. I feel like you're like sweating right now.
I hate like yes or no's can be so like misleading. It's like I just picture a courtroom and there's like the guilty quote guilty party or whatever you call them, the defendant, and they're like, all right,
Mm,
did this happen? Yes, but there was no. You said yes. Next, like
that's funny. Why don't you? Well, did you say you stretch?
sort of like sometimes I stretch. I wouldn't say I do it. I definitely don't do it daily, but I would like to do it more. I just, again, something I don't make the time to do more of.
Have you ever done yoga?
Uh, ever done? I think I did it once, but that's about it. It was cool. Like, I mean, I have nothing against anybody moving their body in any type of way, as long as
Mm,
they're moving their body, whether it's yoga, walking. I mean, just don't sit on the fucking couch. That's all.
Kabish. All right. So Back into the extended answer questions. This is a what would you say segment. So, what would you say to someone who can't find their motivation to work towards their dream?
Well, it's tough because it would depend on what their dream is. Like this is something I love to dive into. Like I would have to know what the dream is. And from there, I would say, okay, is there anybody that's doing it? Like anybody that's quote living your dream? And I would say, now figure out what the hell they did, learn their story, get motivated by what they did, watch their YouTube videos, find something that your dream, whatever your dream is, find somebody or something that's doing it. And if there is nobody doing it, like just start doing something, even if it's just a little bit, it's on the side, like learn a little bit more about it every day, and you'll figure out pretty quickly if it is really your dream or not. And if it is, I mean, to get motivated for that, you have to have a big why, like for anything really, you have to have a reason why. So if there isn't something driving you, then there's going to be no motivation. But if you have a why, like, my why for this podcast, for example, is I would like to leave the world a little bit better than I found it. I would like to make people happier. I think that we all have so much potential and we don't use it. And it's so sad to me. And if I can sit here and talk on a microphone and inspire somebody and get somebody to do something with their lives that they're going to affect other people, or they're just going to be happy, then I love to do this. And that's my reason why. And that's why, like, I'm really trying to focus on this to build this more.
All right, great answer. All right, what would you say to someone who does have that motivation but doesn't have a great support system? So, for example, like their spouse isn't supportive, or their friends, or their
You're looking
parents,
at
or
them.
whoever.
You're looking at it. I
Okay.
mean, like, my wife is supportive. I have a lot of ideas. So she hears an idea and she's like, okay, yeah, sure, sure, sure. Like this podcast was one of them, was like, oh, you're going to do a podcast? Okay, sure, sure, sure. And like, that was the end of that. And then I started doing it and she's like, what are you doing?
Oh, yeah.
Podcast. Oh, okay. And like now, like we'll talk about it or whatever. My family growing up, yeah, I'm gonna start a clothing business. They all laugh at me, and I'm like, okay, like I don't know. For me, it's not like I'm not doing it for them. I'm not doing it for a pat on the back, or I'm not doing it for anybody really but myself and the people that want to consume my content, I guess you could say. Like the people listening or the people that follow RN Fitness, like those are the people I'm doing it for. My family, not doing it for them, for my wife a little bit, just so we can like have the financial freedom if there ever is that one day. I mean, money definitely wasn't the reason why I started either of these things though. If you look at profit margins on clothing, I mean, so small. Like you're never, I mean, unless you're like Nike or something, you're never going to be like loaded from doing clothing. I just wanted to do something, I wanted to put a good message out there. um so but I guess I didn't really answer your question. I just told you what I did. What to say to somebody that
They
has
have
the
the
vision and they just
motivation.
don't have the support?
Mhm.
I'd say you got to start looking in better places. You got to, like, I don't know. Again, I default to YouTube. Like there's so much on YouTube and so much great content on YouTube and so many great motivational videos that, I mean, that right there should be enough to kind of support you up and be like, hey, like this makes me want to go, I guess, what would you need a support system for? Like what do you need somebody to sit there and support you for, to hold you accountable? Like, try and hold yourself accountable. If you know it's a accountability problem, work on that. Don't look to somebody else to work on that for you. That's just one example of like what it could be. But I guess I would say you don't really need the support. You don't need it. It's
You
nice to
don't
have
think
it.
you do? You don't think it's important? I personally, like, I wouldn't say I need it, but like, I thrive off of like, even somebody being like, hey, because you believe in yourself, I support you, type of thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
Like,
I mean,
that's important
I get
to
that. Like I
me.
get that from people sometimes. And I'm just like, all right, thank you. Like I appreciate that, but I would be way more fired up if you said, "Hey, because you believe in yourself, I believe in myself now." I'd be like,
Mm.
I'd be ready to run through a wall after if someone told me that. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
would be fucking awesome. Like that's what I'm looking for, not for you to say, "Hey, you're a cool guy, you know. You do good. I like you for that." All right. Like I appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying like, you know, F you or whatever, but I don't know. That's not why I'm doing this.
You don't need other people's support.
So do I need other people's support to do something? No, but would I look at RN differently if there was nobody supporting it? Because like there's people that follow it, there's people that you know like the pictures, comment on the pictures, buy stuff, enter giveaways. You know, there's all that. Like there's all of that, and I call that you know support. But it's not like a like people I necessarily know really well. You know, some of them I've gotten to know, but you know, like starting it, you know, having that motivation at first had nothing to do with the support.
All right. So, what would you say to someone who wants to start their own business? What advice would you have for them?
Start.
Since you've done it like a couple times.
Start. Just what you don't know is what you'll learn, and what you do know is what you'll get better at. I mean, there's if money's the problem, then start smaller. You know, I know so many people that want to like open up a business and open up a storefront. Like, dude, just put the fucking thing online. You know, like start there.
Yeah.
It's so easy to start a business online, and then as it grows, now you're learning the back door of the business. You know, you're learning how to do books, you're learning how to buy product, how to sell product, you're learning these things and getting ready. And then you use the money that you're learning from that and you save it up, and then you can start like a storefront. Some like, you know, to me, that just makes so much sense. I mean, I'm sure there's reasons why people don't do that, right? Like there's way better business people out there than me that have figured it out and they've done something completely different. But to me, that's what I would say to anybody is whatever you want to do, you got to just start doing it and you'll learn the rest as you go.
All right. So, one final question. If you could, what would you say to yourself 5 or 10 years ago?
Oh,
If
you
you could
took my
go back,
question. Oh,
what
man.
would you say?
What would I say to myself 5, 10 years ago? I mean, to just be who you are and be confident in who you are. And if you don't like who you are, then be who you want to be and find a way to be happy. Whatever happiness is to you, like I think everybody has their own definition of success and their own definition of happiness. And you you owe it to yourself to be happy.
There's a permission right there.
Yeah. That's it.
Nice.
Is that it?
That's it. That's
There's no
all
more
I got.
questions. That's all we got. All right. That was cool. What do you think? How is it being a host? Because being the host is harder than people think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not easy, but you talk a lot, so I think you make it easy. But if I had to like pick for the answers, you know what I mean? Then that
Yeah.
would make it tough.
Yeah. There's a lot of like you have to I don't know. It's we can talk about it after. But yeah, there's a lot of questions that you have to be ready to like, okay, if this doesn't work, we'll go to this. So, you know, like there's my mind's
Mhm.
always going, you know? There's always something because you can't just have like radio silence. It's weird as hell. People listen to a podcast, you know. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think you did good. That was fun. So
Thank
thank you.
you.
And thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.